sound of a lone melancholic organ note, which quickly fades into the sound of wind whistling through ancient stone corridors. Have you ever heard of the silent choir of Prague? No? Well, pull up a chair because this isn't the kind of story you'll find in any tourist guidebook. My friend Leo and I, we were backpacking through Europe a few years back. We were young, broke, and thought we were invincible. Our last stop was Prague. The city is straight out of a Gothic fairy tale, all cobblestone streets and spires that seem to pierce the clouds. We spent our days exploring, but it was the nights that truly captivated us. One evening, after a few too many pilsners, we were wandering back to our hostel. We took a wrong turn, as you do, and found ourselves in a deserted square dominated by a cathedral I'd never seen on any map. It was immense, a black silhouette against the bruised purple sky with stained glass windows that seemed to hold a faint, eerie glow, even in the dead of night. It looked forgotten. Leo, ever the daredevil, pointed to a small, arched side door. I bet it's unlocked. I told him he was crazy, that we'd get arrested. But he was already jogging over, and with a surprisingly quiet groan of protest, the ancient wooden door swung inward. The air that rushed out was cold, smelling of old stone, wax, and something else, something like dried flowers in decay. Against my better judgment, I followed him in. The inside was cavernous. Moonlight sliced through the high windows, painting the stone floor in ghostly patterns of blue and red. Massive organ pipes rose up into the darkness like the ribs of some colossal beast, and it was silent. Not just quiet, but a heavy, oppressive silence that felt like it was pressing in on our eardrums. We crept down the central aisle, our footsteps echoing unnaturally loud in the vast space. That's when we first heard it. It wasn't music, not really. More like the memory of music. A faint, multi-layered hum that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Do you hear that?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Leo nodded, his eyes wide, scanning the choir loft high above the altar. And that's when we saw them. Silhouetted against the glowing windows were figures, dozens of them standing in rows, their heads bowed. They were translucent like smoke, their forms wavering in the faint light. The silent choir. We were frozen to the spot. We couldn't hear them sing, but we could feel it. The hum grew stronger, vibrating through the stone floor up my legs and into my chest. It was a beautiful, sorrowful sound that had no physical source. My head began to throb and the air grew impossibly cold. Suddenly, all the figures in the choir loft lifted their heads in perfect unison. They had no faces, just smooth, shadowy ovals, and they were all looking directly at us. That's what broke the spell. We didn't scream, we didn't even breathe. We just turned and ran. We burst out of that cathedral and didn't stop running until the spires of the city were a familiar, comforting sight again. The next day, we tried to find the cathedral. We scoured every map, asked locals, even a city historian. No one had ever heard of it. The square where it stood was just not there. It was as if it had never existed. But I still hear them sometimes. In the dead of night, when the house is quiet, I can feel that low, mournful hum, the song of the silent choir. And I remember the legend we finally managed to piece together from hushed whispers and obscure old texts. They say the choir was trapped during a fire centuries ago. They continued to sing their final hymn as the flames consumed them, a prayer to a God who never answered. Now they are forever bound to their church, a church that only appears to those who are lost. And they are always looking for new voices to join their eternal silent song. The legend says they appear at a specific time, always at 3:33 a.m., the devil's hour, the time the veil is thinnest. I checked my watch from that night. We'd pushed open that door at exactly 3:33 a.m., sound of a single, soft, echoing choir note which then fades to complete silence.